A crowbar smashes through expensive cabinet wood. Glass explodes across the floor. A man destroys his own kitchen like he's tearing apart an enemy bunker. Sam Cahill stands in the wreckage of what used to be his home, swinging the crowbar again and again. His hands bleed, but he doesn't stop. He screams, "I survived hell for this family, but you betrayed me while I was being tortured in Afghanistan. How could you sleep with my blood brother?" The words rip out of him like shrapnel. His two young daughters huddle upstairs, terrified. His wife Grace begs him to stop, tears streaming down her face. She swears nothing happened with Tommy, but Sam doesn't believe her anymore. He can't believe anyone anymore. Tommy rushes through the front door and tries to grab his brother. Sam spins around and pulls out a pistol, pressing the cold barrel against Tommy's forehead. Tommy freezes. Grace screams. Then, outside, police sirens grow louder. Have you ever watched someone you love completely fall apart? That's what's happening right now. But to understand how a decorated Marine captain ended up pointing a gun at his own brother, we need to go back to where it all started. Subscribe to the channel now because what happens next will show you how one decision in Afghanistan destroyed an entire family. Seriously guys, subscribe. 4 months earlier, everything was perfect in Sam's house. But wait. The subtle hints given in the next scenes will be needed later in the video to solve a mystery most people can't solve. So watch closely because if you don't see it, then you'll miss you. If you see it, you can't unsee it. October 7th, 2007. A U.S. Marine Corps training camp buzzes with activity. Captain Sam Cahill sits alone in his quarters, writing a letter nobody should ever have to write. He has just been deployed to Afghanistan. The letter starts with how much he loves his wife Grace and their two daughters, Maggie and Isabelle. Every word feels like a goodbye he doesn't want to say. If Grace is reading this, it means he didn't make it home. It means his worst fear came true. Sam folds the letter carefully and hands it to his commanding officer. The major promises to keep it safe, hoping it will never need to be delivered. 4 days later, Sam boards a helicopter headed for Afghanistan. But before he leaves, he goes home one last time. Now, we are in the most boring part of the story. Just a few people lose patience to watch through this part. Don't be among the few because after this, there is a lot of drama coming up later in the video, especially at the end. Don't miss it. Sam's house feels like something from a dream. His wife Grace is the best one could ask for. Their daughters Maggie and Isabelle chase each other around the living room, giggling. This is what a perfect family looks like. This is what Sam is fighting to protect. His younger brother Tommy arrives, just released from prison after serving time for armed bank robbery. Grace prepares family dinner to celebrate Tommy's release from prison. Right there, the doorbell rings. The youngest daughter, Isabelle, opens the door, looks up at Tommy, and immediately tells her mother she doesn't like him. Kids always know something adults try to ignore. The family gathers for dinner that night. It should be a celebration, welcoming Tommy home and blessing Sam before deployment to Afghanistan. But their father, Hank, ruins everything. The old man has been drinking. He starts comparing his sons, praising Sam as a hero who serves his country while calling Tommy a criminal who only brings shame to the family. Would you have stayed quiet if your father said that about you? Tell me in the comments. Tommy's jaw tightens, but he doesn't fight back. Sam tries to calm things down, but Hank keeps pushing. The insults get worse until finally Hank storms out of the house, slamming the door behind him. The warm family dinner turns ice cold. As Hank leaves, Tommy looks at his older brother and tells him to be safe over there. There's real love in those words, even though their father will never see it. That night, Sam takes off his wedding ring. Grace lifts the chain from around her neck and slides the ring onto it, pressing it against her heart. She tells him she loves him. He kisses her like it might be the last time. 5 days later, Sam's helicopter cuts through the Afghan desert. He records everything on his phone as they pass destroyed tanks and burned equipment. He tells the camera he feels at home here, that this is where he belongs. He has no idea how wrong he is. Nobody who goes to war comes back the same. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when everything goes wrong. Suddenly, the helicopter shakes. Then it crashes from the sky like a stone. It has been shot by Afghanistan armies. Grace soaks in a warm bath, trying to relax. The house is quiet, peaceful. She has no idea her entire world is about to shatter. The doorbell rings. Her older daughter Isabelle runs to answer it. Through the bathroom door, Grace hears Isabelle's voice change from cheerful to confused, then scared. 2 soldiers in dress uniforms stand on the porch. They don't need to say anything. Isabelle already knows. She starts crying and asks them what's wrong. The soldiers ask if her mother is home. Grace appears in the doorway, still wet from the bath, and sees the uniforms. Every military wife knows what those uniforms mean when they show up unannounced. Her legs almost give out. The soldiers tell her that Sam's helicopter was shot down over Afghanistan. There were no survivors. Captain Sam Cahill is dead. Grace can't breathe. She can't think. The words don't make sense. How can Sam be dead? He promised he'd come home. He promised. That night, she sits in the dark living room rewatching old videos of Sam on her phone. His voice fills the empty house. She keeps dialing his number over and over just to hear his voicemail. Maybe if she calls enough times, he'll actually answer. Maybe this is all a terrible mistake. A drunk Tommy stumbles up to the house late that night to return Sam's car. He notices a broken headlight and starts apologizing, thinking Grace is upset about the damage. Then he sees her face. Grace, in tears, tells him his brother is dead. Tommy doesn't believe her at first. Then reality hits and he starts yelling that they never should have let Sam go to Afghanistan. He screams at the empty street like his anger can somehow bring Sam back. It can't. Tommy drives to his parents' house and sits on the porch in the freezing cold. His stepmother finds him there and invites him inside. But he says he wants to be alone. For the first time in his life, Tommy wishes he was the good son. The one who died instead. Guys, take a second to like the video. Grace tries to get her daughters ready for the funeral, but both girls refuse to wear black dresses. They don't understand why they have to dress up in black gowns to say goodbye to someone who's never coming back. Maggie, the younger one, keeps asking when Daddy will come home. Grace doesn't know how to explain again that he won't. At the funeral, soldiers fold an American flag with precise movements and hand it to Grace. The major gives her that letter, the one Sam wrote before leaving. The one that was never supposed to be delivered. Grace holds the envelope but can't open it. Reading Sam's final words will make his death real. As long as the letter stays sealed, maybe there's still hope. After the ceremony, Hank drinks himself into a rage. Tommy tries to take his father's car keys so the old man won't drive drunk. But Hank turns on Tommy again, throwing the same insults. Sam was the hero. Tommy is the disappointment. This time, Tommy fights back. He tells his father the truth that's been buried for years. Hank was never a great father or husband. He filled Sam's head with military nonsense and pushed him into a war that killed him. If your father blamed you for your brother's death, what would you say? Let us know in the comments. Hank stumbles away on foot, too drunk to respond. Later, Grace is too afraid to open the letter and decides to keep it away. But Sam isn't dead. In Afghanistan, 2 Taliban fighters dragged 2 American soldiers through the desert. Sam and Private Joe Willis survived the helicopter crash. Barely. Now they're prisoners, being taken to a place worse than death. The Taliban throw them into a zindan, an underground prison that's nothing but a dirt hole covered with wooden boards. Sam's face is covered in blood and bruises. Private Joe is younger, barely 21, and he's already panicking. Sam grabs Joe by the shirt and tells him to listen carefully. They cannot tell the Taliban anything. Not their names, not their ranks, nothing. Stay silent no matter what happens. Joe nods, but his hands shake. He's terrified. Back in America, Tommy's phone rings at 3 in the morning. He's drunk at a bar and $47 short on his tab. The bartender threatens to report him for breaking parole rules. Tommy calls Grace, begging for help. Grace has to bail out her brother-in-law in the middle of the night. She brings him back to her house where he passes out on the couch. This is the last thing she needs right now. The next morning, Maggie and Isabelle decide to make pancakes to cheer up their sad mother. They clatter around the kitchen, making a huge mess. Tommy wakes up with a pounding headache and yells at them to stop and be quiet. The girls ignore him. Maggie keeps banging pots and pans together. Tommy has to get off the couch and physically stop them before they burn the house down. That's when Hank walks in. The old man didn't expect to see Tommy sleeping on Grace's couch. He came to apologize for his behavior at the funeral. Then Hank says something surprising. He admits that Tommy and Sam were both smart, but Tommy always gave up on everything he started. Unlike Sam, Tommy's voice cracks when he replies. He tells his father he would cut his own throat to bring Sam back. Subscribe because nobody knows Sam is still alive, and what's about to happen to him will change everything. Subscribe because what is about to happen will turn the entire story around. In the Zindan, Sam hears helicopters flying overhead. American forces are searching for survivors. He's sure of it. He watches through a hole in the wooden underground prison. Sam finds a rock and starts knocking loose the wooden boards covering their prison. If he can just signal the helicopters, they'll be rescued. But a Taliban guard hears the noise and points an AK-47 into the hole. He drops a massive boulder over the boards, sealing them in complete darkness. 2 months pass in that hole. Sam tries to stay strong, doing push-ups in the cramped space and keeping track of days by scratching marks into the dirt wall. But Private Joe is falling apart. He screams at Sam, blaming him for saving his life. Joe says he's living in hell now and wishes he had died in the crash. Sam keeps repeating the same order. Don't tell them anything. Don't give them your name or rank. One day, the Taliban pull both prisoners out of the Zindan and throw them into the back of a truck. Sam doesn't know where they're going, but it can't be good. They arrive at a Taliban camp where dozens of fighters gather around them. The Taliban drag out an Afghan man and force him to kneel in the dirt. A leader explains that this man used a satellite phone to call his pregnant wife. That call revealed their location. The Taliban shoot the man in the head right in front of Sam and Joe. Blood sprays across the sand. The leader turns to Sam and says, "This is their country. Americans have no business being here. Sam must deliver this message to America, or he'll be forced to. Would you break under that kind of pressure? Comment below. While Sam is tortured in Afghanistan, life continues in America. Tommy remembers what his father said about Grace's terrible kitchen. The cabinets are falling apart. The paint is peeling. So Tommy calls some friends and they show up with tools and lumber. They're going to renovate the entire kitchen as a surprise. Grace comes home to find strange men tearing apart her walls. At first she's confused, then she starts crying. But these are good tears. For the first time since Sam's death, someone is helping her instead of pitying her. Tommy's friends work for weeks. They even get Maggie and Isabelle involved, letting them paint and hand them tools. The girls laugh for the first time in months. They tell stories about their father, remembering what a great athlete he was. Maggie accidentally spills paint all over one of the bearded workers. The man needs new clothes, so Grace goes to Sam's closet. But when she opens the door and sees all his shirts hanging there, she breaks down. She grabs armfuls of clothes and brings them downstairs, giving away everything she can carry. The worker doesn't know if he should keep the clothes or return them later. Grace just walks away. In Afghanistan, Sam is tied to a wooden post under the burning sun. Taliban fighters douse him with freezing water, then ask if he wants to help his friend. Right in front of Sam, they torture Private Joe with a red-hot iron rod. Joe screams until his voice gives out. He can't take the pain anymore. On camera, he says Americans have no business in Afghanistan and sends love to his wife and child back home. Then Joe reveals that Sam has 2 daughters. Sam's heart sinks. The Taliban now know he has a family. They can use that against him. Grace comes home one evening to find the kitchen completely finished. Brand new cabinets, fresh paint, modern appliances. Everyone she loves is there to surprise her for her birthday. Everyone except Sam. Grace tries to smile and thank everyone. But the one person she wants to celebrate with is gone forever. Or so she thinks. Winter arrives. Tommy takes the girls to the park. During the walk, Isabelle complains that everyone loves her younger sister Maggie more because Maggie is cuter. Tommy tells Isabelle a story about how Sam once saved him from drowning in the nearby river when they were kids. Sam never gave up on him, even when everyone else did. They reach the ice skating rink. Grace watches Tommy skate with her daughters, laughing and playing like he's known them forever. She's surprised how good he is with children, how natural it looks. One day, Tommy does something that shocks everyone. He visits the bank employee he threatened during his robbery years ago. He asks for her forgiveness. They talk for over an hour. The woman admits she couldn't sleep properly for 3 years after the robbery. She lived in constant fear that Tommy would come back and shoot her. Hearing this breaks Tommy's heart. He never realized how much damage he caused. Tommy tells Grace about the conversation that night. She says she's proud of him. They sit on the couch reminiscing about their school days. Grace admits she never liked Tommy back then because he was always drunk and getting into fights. They keep talking, digging up old memories. Then they look into each other's eyes. The moment stretches too long. Suddenly they're kissing, passionate and desperate, like they're both trying to fill the emptiness Sam left behind. Grace pulls away, gasping for air. She says she needs to go outside. Tommy sits there crying as she walks out. He eventually leaves, hating himself for what just happened. Sam's letter still sits in the drawer, unopened. Nothing happened between them, but does it matter when Sam comes back? Subscribe to the channel to find out. In Afghanistan, the torture continues for months. Sam and Joe are beaten daily, starved, sleep-deprived. Joe's mind is breaking. He mutters to himself constantly, no longer making sense. One morning, Taliban fighters drag both Americans into the center of their camp. All the fighters gather in a circle. Sam knows something terrible is about to happen. A Taliban leader hands Sam an iron pipe. He orders Sam to kill Private Joe. Since Joe has revealed everything, he has become useless to the Taliban. Sam throws the pipe on the ground and refuses, but the Taliban point guns at his head. The leader says Joe already revealed everything on camera, so he's useless now. Either Sam kills Joe, or they kill Sam. Then they'll find Sam's wife and 2 daughters in America. They mention Grace by name. They mention Maggie and Isabelle. Sam picks up the pipe with shaking hands. Joe looks at him with empty eyes, no longer caring if he lives or dies. Joe whispers that it's okay, that he wants this to end. The Taliban start chanting. They film everything. Sam raises the pipe. He brings it down on Joe's head. Once, twice, again and again until Private Joe Willis stops moving. Until there's nothing left but blood and silence. The Taliban cheer. The camera keeps recording. Sam drops the pipe and collapses, covered in his friend's blood. How do you live with yourself after that? Comment if you think you could. Tommy visits Grace's house again, this time to install decorative panels. Grace acts nervous after their kiss, unsure how to be around him. Tommy says he'd like to keep seeing the girls sometimes. Grace says they'd all like that. Later, Hank stops by. He's genuinely surprised that his screw-up son has become such a skilled handyman. Maybe Tommy is changing after all. In Afghanistan, American forces finally raid the Taliban camp. Helicopters circle overhead as gunfire erupts everywhere. One Taliban leader tries to shoot Sam, but the bullet misses. An American soldier shoots the Taliban fighter, and he falls into a ravine. The camera with the execution footage burns in the wreckage. Sam is finally free. Tommy plays with Maggie and Isabelle in the front yard when the phone rings inside. Grace answers. The voice on the other end tells her that her husband survived. He's alive. He's coming home. Grace can't speak. She is in shock. She drops the phone and stumbles outside. Tommy sees her face and knows immediately. He's happy his brother is alive, but he's also terrified of what happens next. The whole family meets Sam at the airport. He looks thin and damaged, with scars covering his face and arms. The girls hug him carefully, like he might break. Grace holds him tight, crying into his shoulder. Sam barely reacts to any of it. At home, the girls excitedly show him the new kitchen. They explain how Uncle Tommy and his friends did all the work. Sam nods but doesn't smile. He goes upstairs to the bedroom and lies down, hugging his wife and daughters like he's afraid they'll disappear. Grace joins him in the bathroom later. She kisses his scars gently, trying to reconnect with the man she married. But Sam is cold, distant. He hints that she should leave him alone. Grace realizes the man who came home isn't her husband anymore. Tommy reads a newspaper article about Private Joe Willis. The story says Joe was killed in action, but certain details don't add up. Tommy notices how Sam reacts whenever Joe's name is mentioned. Hank also notices Sam behaving strangely. He remembers how he withdrew from his own family after returning from the Vietnam War. He sees the same pattern in his son but doesn't know how to help. At the ice skating rink, Sam watches Grace and his daughters laughing with Tommy. They look so comfortable together, so natural, like they're a real family. Sam pulls Tommy aside and tells him he looks great with his family. He thanks Tommy for taking care of them while he was gone. He says he didn't expect that Tommy would ever do that, but Tommy laughs it off. Then suddenly, his voice drops and he asks the question that's been eating him alive. Did you sleep with her? Tommy's face goes pale. He swears nothing happened. But Sam doesn't believe him. He says Tommy and Grace look like two love-struck teenagers. He's 100% sure they slept together. He doesn't believe that nothing happened between them, as Tommy is a known womanizer. If you thought your spouse cheated while you were being tortured, would you believe their denial? Let us know in the comments below. The widow of Private Joe visits with her young son, Little Joe Jr. The boy crawls around the living room, innocent and happy. The widow laments that she keeps having nightmares where she hates Sam for surviving while her husband died. She came to pour out those feelings. Then she asks Sam if he saw how Joe died. Sam lies directly to her face. He says he doesn't know anything about Joe's death. He never saw what happened. The widow thanks him and leaves with her son. That night, Sam loses control. He grabs a pistol from his military gear and starts pacing through the house. He arranges glasses on a shelf with the gun in his hand, talking to himself in whispers. The next day, Sam visits the military base. He tells the major he wants to go back to Afghanistan. He can't stay here with his family. They don't understand him. Nobody does. The major tells Sam he needs to spend time healing first. During dinner that evening, Maggie and Isabelle joke around at the table, acting like normal kids. Sam suddenly explodes at them, yelling that their jokes aren't funny. "Why are you laughing? What's so funny about anything?" The girls freeze in fear. Grace tries to calm her husband, but he just walks away from the table. Isabelle asks when Uncle Tommy is coming back. She whispers that something is wrong with Dad. Later that night, Grace begs Sam to talk to her about what happened in Afghanistan. But Sam only cares about one thing. He demands to know what happened between Grace and Tommy. Grace swears nothing happened. She thought Sam was dead. They all did. But Sam doesn't believe her. He gets up and storms out of the house. Sam drives to the cemetery in the middle of the night. He finds Private Joe's grave. The headstone says Joe was only 21 years old. Sam kneels in the dirt and cries for the first time since coming home. The next morning, Sam returns home while the girls play outside. Isabelle sees him and freezes. She backs away slowly, genuinely frightened of her own father. Sam notices, and it breaks something inside him. He kneels down and hugs both daughters, promising everything will be fine. Isabelle barely holds back tears. She doesn't believe him. Sam tells Grace he spent all night thinking about how lucky he is to have survived, how blessed he is to have this family. They embrace, and for a moment, Grace thinks maybe her husband is coming back to her. It's Maggie's birthday. They drive to Hank's house for a party. Everyone waits for Tommy to arrive. When he finally shows up, he brings a random girl named Tina that he met just an hour earlier. He thinks having a date will make things less awkward. It doesn't. Tina tries to sound smart by talking about the military. She says ignorant things about war and soldiers. Tommy elbows her to shut up, but she keeps going. Sam's jaw clenches tighter and tighter. The girls get loud and rowdy. Sam keeps scolding Isabelle for every little thing. The girl finally snaps and says everyone loves Maggie more because Maggie always gets the best of everything. Isabelle grabs a balloon and starts squeaking it loudly, trying to interrupt the adults and get attention. Sam tells her to stop. She keeps doing it. He tells her again. She squeezes the balloon right in his face. Then Sam snaps. He grabs the balloon and pops it in his fist. Isabelle screams at him. She asks why he didn't just stay dead. She yells that Mom wants to sleep with Uncle Tommy and not with him, that they're always making love together. Complete silence falls over the room. Sam's face goes white. Tommy looks like he wants to disappear. Grace can't breathe. Would you believe your own daughter if she said that? Let me know in the comments. They drive home in complete silence. Before bed, Isabelle apologizes to her mother through tears. She admits she made it up. She doesn't like Dad anymore and wishes Uncle Tommy was her father instead. Maggie whispers that she wishes that too. Sam sits downstairs in the dark living room. He asks Grace if the kids said their prayers before bed. She nods. He stands up slowly and walks to the garage. He comes back with a crowbar. Sam starts destroying the kitchen. Every cabinet Tommy built, every wall Tommy painted. Sam rips it all apart like he's fighting an invisible enemy. He screams that he survived for this family, but they betrayed him. He doesn't understand how Grace could sleep with his own brother. He yells that she has no idea what he did to get back to her, what he did with his own hands. Sam swings the crowbar at his own head, hitting himself in the temple. Blood runs down his face, but he doesn't stop destroying everything. That's when Tommy comes in through the door. He tries to hug his brother and calm him down. Sam spins around and pulls out his pistol, pressing it against Tommy's forehead. Police sirens scream outside. Officers rush onto the lawn with guns drawn. Sam walks out holding his pistol. They order him to drop the weapon. Sam yells at them, asking why they're even here. The cops say they know he's a war hero. Sam laughs. A war hero? They don't know what he did. They don't know anything. He puts the gun to his own temple. Grace and Tommy both scream his name, begging him not to pull the trigger. Sam stands there for what feels like forever, gun pressed against his head, tears streaming down his face. He whispers that he's drowning. Finally, Sam throws the gun away. The police tackle him to the ground and arrest him. He doesn't fight back. He's too exhausted to fight anymore. Grace sleeps with both daughters in their bed that night, holding them close so they feel safe. She finally opens the envelope and reads Sam's letter. The words are beautiful and heartbreaking. Sam wrote about how deeply he loves her and their girls. If Grace is reading this, it means he didn't make it back. It means he's gone forever, but his love for them will never die. Grace sobs as she reads every word. The letter tears her heart into pieces. Later, Sam calls Tommy from outside the psychiatric clinic where they've taken him. They speak for a few minutes and finally make peace. Tommy promises to take care of the girls while Grace visits Sam. Grace drives to the clinic the next day. She sits across from her husband in a sterile white room. She tells him she's been in love with him since she was 16 years old. But if he doesn't tell her what happened in Afghanistan, she'll never see him again. She asks why he's torturing himself and everyone around him. Sam stares at the floor for a long time. Then a single tear runs down his cheek. He looks up at Grace and finally tells her the truth. He killed Joe Willis. He beat his friend to death with an iron pipe while the Taliban filmed it. He had no choice. If he didn't kill Joe, they would have killed Sam and then gone after Grace and the girls. Sam says he can still feel the pipe in his hands. He can still hear Joe's skull cracking. He'll hear that sound for the rest of his life. Grace stands up and wraps her arms around her husband. She holds him while he cries. She doesn't let go. After his confession, Sam asks the question that haunts him most. Will he ever be able to live a normal life again? Can someone like him, someone who killed his own friend, ever be a husband and father again? Grace doesn't have an answer, but she promises she won't leave him to figure it out alone. Everything ends with Sam sitting in the clinic, staring out a window at the world he no longer understands. He's home, but he's still trapped in that underground prison in Afghanistan. He's free, but he'll never escape what he did. If you want to see more stories like this that show the real cost of war and betrayal, subscribe now. And if you're still not subscribing, drop a comment telling me why. What's holding you back? Because the truth is, stories like Sam's happen every single day, and most people never talk about them. So subscribe. Thanks for watching.